Happy Friday, everyone. I thought I would start this edition of Friday Shares off with a request. This is the last Friday Shares where I'm going to be sharing your work. The next two Friday Shares, Susan and I will be highlighting examples of really excellent student work in honor of the end of the spring semester. So if you're a spring teacher who's watching this, I would love for you to send me some examples of really great student work happening in your courses. We're particularly interested in final projects, but really anything that your students are doing that you're finding to be creative and interesting and of a very high quality, we would love to know more. This week's edition of Friday Shares is about an educational buzzword I've been seeing a lot lately. That is metacognition. And metacognition, if you haven't heard the word before, all it means is thinking about thinking or thinking about learning. This is a really important task for students so that they understand why they're learning what they're learning about. It's also a really great way to end a course. In other words, it's a great sort of concluding activity as part of a final project or final connecting to talk about learning in a really explicit way. Studies show that it helps the material stick with students more. So in honor of the end of the semester, I thought I'd show you three great examples of teachers who are integrating metacognitive activities into their courses. Let's take a look at Comparative Governments taught by Chris Rhodes. And here you can see a Gantt chart where he's laid out a major project. He does his major project in the middle of his course rather than at the end. It's a research project. And all I want to quickly point out to you here is here below he offers a metacognitive activity. Go back to the Personal View Wiki, which is a wiki the students have been working on throughout the course, and create one more content block per page. In each content block, write a paragraph describing how and why your views or understanding of this issue has evolved as a result of this course. Please be as descriptive as possible so that I can follow your thinking. This is a very explicit prompt as part of a larger project that's asking the students to think about their learning in a clear way. Notice that it's graded, and so it carries value for the students, but it's also just part of the fabric of their course activities. And I think that something as simple and as clear as this is a great way to get the students thinking about their learning. Next, let's take a look at something Jen Neubauer is doing in her fiction writing class. Jen is using a tool called Flipgrid. This is a very simple video response tool that allows students to submit short videos, no more than 90 seconds, in response to a question generated by the teacher. GOA has a subscription to this service, and we're happy to tell you more about it if you're interested in it. Let's pay attention first to Jen's question at the bottom. What were the most successful aspects of your workshop meetings with your group? What do you hope to get out of the upcoming 3 meetings with your new workshop group? And so the students are being asked to submit a video where they're talking not about their writing, but about the process through which they gave feedback to each other. So let's play Abby's video really quickly so you get a sense of what the students are saying.
Hey guys, I would say that the most successful aspects of my previous workshop meetings with my other group would definitely be our question and answer aspect that we kind of included. I think that was a part of it. So when we were asked to put questions, clarification parts that we had, we would always say those in our meetings, and then we would wait until everyone had spoken about the author's stories, and then we would actually have the author answer the questions, which was really helpful because obviously with most stories we don't have Hemingway there to answer the question.
So you can see here that the students are talking about the learning process and what worked for them. I'm sure you can also imagine that this is really great feedback for Jen. She can really use this information to shape future lessons for her students because they're being very explicit about what they're learning. The last example I want to share with you is from our neuropsychology course. We have 2 sections taught by Anna Moore and Faye Wells, and I want to point out to you the culminating activity in their unit on learning, the neuropsychology of learning. And they've asked the students to create a 1-page Google Doc of study tips for students in grades 9 to 12. And they asked the students to basically synthesize all of the research and interviewing and data collection they've been doing and make a help document for their peers, which gives their peers tips on how to learn. This is a very clever way to get the students to also think about their own learning and to also communicate to Faye and Anna how they are learning and how what works best for them. And so this idea of asking the students to think metacognitively by giving other students advice is just another clever format in which you can provide students the opportunity to think about their own learning. One way I would adapt this for courses that aren't about neuropsychology is you've just spent a semester learning online. What advice would you give to future students about how they should learn online? It's a really simple, but I think really effective way to get students to think metacognitively. So in general, I want you to think about endings. What's really important to you in terms of what your students walk away with when they leave your course? And I think thinking about their learning, specifically as it relates to this unique learning experience they've just had, is a great way to get the students to talk to you about what went really well, what didn't for them, and a great way for them to walk away having thought really intentionally about how they learn and what this experience has taught them. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great weekend.